Okay. So this is like number 7, the last one on the quiz. Some of you are having a little trouble completing the square a little bit, so just a quick practice, one warm up. Put your X's together. So rewrite it, put it in the right order, and then you're going to add a blank. We're going to put a few extra numbers in to help us complete the square. And then the y squared with the 8y plus the blank, and then take this constant to the other side, so we're going to add it. So it becomes a positive 11 on the other side. But remember, if you add 2 blanks on the left, you got to add 2 blanks on the right. Okay? Now, to fill in the blanks, to complete the square, you take the b value, which is 6, divided by 2, and then square it. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 squared would be 9. So 9 goes in those 2 blanks. And then I do the same thing with the 8. The y part has the b of 8. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, squared would be 16. Okay, so then we're looking at this trinomial is one of those special trinomials. We call it a perfect square trinomial. And this one is also, we made it one of those special trinomials. Okay, so it's really easy to factor those then to look like this. Okay, so all you do is take the square root of x squared, and remember, these a's, these numbers in front of the x squared and the y squared has to be a 1. I think I did that for you on the quiz. All right, so it's x, the square root of x squared, the sign in front of the 6, in front of the b, which is addition in this part, and the square root of 9. So that's that part of our equation for our circle. And then the square root of y squared is y, and that's going to always be that. Okay? Square root of 16 is 4, and there's a plus sign in front of the 8 again, so that's plus again. Okay, on the other side, we just add those numbers up, which is 36. So now it's in that form you're used to seeing for a circle, so you can tell me the center and the radius. Matt, what's the center?
-3, -4.
Good. Remember, it's the opposite of those. Okay. What's the radius, Tanner? 6. Take the square root of that number. Okay. So that's very similar to number 7 on your practice quiz and your quiz tomorrow. Okay. And again, I think on the quizzes, I didn't make it a tough one where we had to divide the x squared and the y squared by something because it had a number in front. Okay, it's not that difficult. Any questions on that? Okay, all you gotta do is stay focused and watch. We go through this, and it should be fine. So, phones should not be around you right now. Laptops should be closed, and just pay attention. And you guys should be ready to go for tomorrow. So for number 1, it's distance and midpoint. Okay? And let me check something here. I wonder if I did 2 of those maybe for the actual quiz, but we didn't need to do. I don't remember right. Yeah, there's actually 2 like number 1. So there's actually 10 problems on the quiz. Okay? And there's 2 like there is already 2 like number 5 and 6, right? So there's 2 of those. There's actually 2 like number 4. Okay. I got it now. All right. So there's actually 2 of these, distance and midpoint. All right, but we're just doing one because I think for the practice, it's okay. So again, you go distance is x2, 5 minus x1, 4 squared plus y2, 10 minus y1, 6 squared. Okay? 5 minus 4 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. 10 minus 6 is 4, and 4 squared is 16. So it's a square root of 17. If you want to put the decimal, it is 4.1. Okay? And there, remember, it's also midpoint. Every year I get kids who only do the distance, they won't do the midpoint. Okay, make sure you do both for both problems. 1 and 2 are like this. Okay, so midpoint it's x plus x and y plus y. So 4 plus 5 and 6 plus 10. Again, put the x's together and the y's. Every year, I get kids that'll go 4 plus 6. They'll add the x and the y together. And 5 plus 10. Right? X plus x, y plus y. Divided by 2. All right, so 9 halves, or you could write 4.5. And 16 over 2 is 8. Okay, 2 of those on tomorrow's quiz. So instead of 7 problems, it'll have 10 problems. So it'll be a 50-pointer instead of 35. Okay?
So this, when we got the 16 in the distance, you just added a 10. Negative.
I went 10 minus 6 is 4,
Yeah.
and I squared it with the 16. Okay? Any other questions on distance or midpoint? Okay. 2 and 3 are just very similar. And remember, x and y intercepts. So x-intercept is where the graph will cross the x-axis, which means the y value is always 0. The y-intercept is where the graph will cross the y-axis, and the x value is always 0. Okay? If it's got no squares or anything in it, it's just a straight line, so there's one of each. Okay? So all I do when y is 0, I just cover that up, like with my pencil or whatever, and I say, well, 4 times what is 12? And we all know it's 3. And then when I put 0 in for the x, I cover that up, and 3 times what is 12 would be 4. You don't have to graph or anything, you just have to tell me those points. Okay? Number 3, same type of problem, but this one's got an x squared in it, okay? So if there's an x squared in it, it's probably got 2 x-intercepts. If it was a y squared, it's probably got 2 y-intercepts, okay? So make sure you realize that. All right, so again, for the x-intercept, there's going to be 2 of them, so I'm going to get ready for 2 of them because the x was squared. For the y-intercept, there's just going to be 1 of them. All right, so I'll do the y-intercept one first. So that means I put a 0 there and a 0 there, so that's gone. So what's y equal? 14. Pretty easy, right? Now, when I put 0 in for y to get the x-intercepts, what I have is a quadratic equation. So, yes.
Negative 14.
Oh, did I write it wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Thanks. Morning, Mason. Okay. So what I'm looking for here, we learned like 4 different ways to solve a quadratic equation earlier this year. We could graph it and see where our parabola crosses the x-axis in the 2 spots, and that'll tell us those 2 x-intercepts. You can factor it. You can complete the square like we would have to do for numbers 7, or we could do the quadratic formula. But this one's pretty easy to factor. Again, because a is 1, so it's going to be x times x for my x squared. And what are the factors? What times what gives me negative 14, but when I add it, gives me positive 5.
7.
Right, positive 7, negative 2. All right, so my 2 intercepts then, what makes that 0 is negative 7. Come on. Negative 7. And what makes this 0 is positive 2. So there's our 3 answers for number 3. Okay? So again, x-intercept, plug 0 in for y, solve for x. Y-intercept, plug 0 in for x, solve for y. Simple. Okay? Questions? Other questions on those 2? All right, number 4, probably the easiest problems on the whole thing, because you can just look. You can look at it and tell me the center and the radius. Okay? And remember, there's going to be 2 of them. All right? So 2 easy ones for you. All right? 2 of these, I only gave you 1 for practice. So what's the center, Josh? I don't know. Cameron, help him out.
It's negative 4, positive 7.
Thanks. Austin, what's the radius? Back. Okay. Come on, these are the easiest problems. You should be able to look at it and tell me. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Focus. It's just the opposite of +4, opposite of -7 for the center. Square root of that for the radius. All right? Just for another one, a quick practice, because we are going to have 2. Z, what's the center?
-1.
Nope.
No.
Tommy?
0, 0.
Yeah, there's nothing with it, like these, like this, just 0, 0. Braden, what's radius? Yep, square root of 1. Okay? So don't let an easy one like that stump you. Okay? All right, so remember, there's 2 of those, we just did 2 of them. All right? Number 5. Thanks, you're back.
Yep.
Okay, he is here. All right, this one is, I gave you the center with 0, 0, and passes through is negative 2, 5. Okay, so if I do a quick picture of that, there's the center, negative 2, 5. So, it looks like that. Okay? That's what it means by passes through. Okay? So, the first part, the center 0, 0, you can write x minus 0 squared, but if it's 0, 0, you can just write x squared plus y squared. And then I got to figure this out. So I got to find the distance between those 2 points. Okay? So it's just x minus x, so that's 2 squared would be 4, and y minus y, negative 5 squared, 25. Okay? So the distance is the square root of 29. So remember, our equation is, our formula is x minus a squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So if my distance is the square root of 29, what's r squared? 29. So it's the number under the radical sign, that's what you set it equals. So this finished equation of the circle would be that. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
All right, 5 and 6 are the same type of problem. Okay, the center is 2, negative 1, and through negative 3, 8. Okay? So I can go x minus and then 2 squared plus y minus, well, what's minus a negative 1? Plus 1. So that's why it becomes plus. And then I got to find the distance again for this part. All right? So it's the square root of x minus x, which is 2 minus negative 5 squared, plus negative 1 minus 8 negative 9 squared. And that's 106, right? So remember, the distance is the square root of that, which is r. So what's r squared? 106. So again, whatever you get under here, that answer is what goes there. Okay? Some of you had that part wrong. You got the 106, you got 10 point something, so that's what you put. You put the square root of that. Okay, that is the radius. But in our equation, remember, it's supposed to be radius squared. So whatever that number is under the radical sign is what goes here. Okay? All right, so then number 7, but actually there's 2 of those, like our warm-up today. There's 2 of these, so there's a total of 10 on the quiz. Okay? Is this. Okay, so we're going to put our x's together and add our blank. Put our y's together and add the blank. Move the 20 over by subtracting that. And remember, we got to add 2 blanks because we did it on the left. All right, so I can take half of 12, which is 6, and square it. Half of 6, which is 3, and square it for those numbers. Okay, so then this factors square root of x squared, the sign in front of the 12, the square root of 36. Square root of y squared, plus in front of the 6, square root of 9, 3. And what's 16 plus 9, 25? That's all I asked you to do. You didn't have to find the center and radius, you just had to find the equation. But remember, there's 2 of those. Total of 10. Jacob, you have a question?
The 25 is the radius for, or not, so if we're finding the radius.
If you had to find the radius, it'd be 5, yeah. Okay? Do you have any other questions? I don't have anything else if you guys are good. All right? Okay. Yeah. You followed along? That's what you always do on my practice, don't you?